Recently, I was recording a podcast with Jordan Sides, and some of you guys know him on Instagram. Very famous fitness coach and influencer, and it really struck me because him and I started in the fitness industry almost around the same time, and that became clear to me as I was having a conversation with him, and it made me think, it made me consider like what the industry was like when I first came in. And I told him this little anecdote about, we learn certain things in school, and then you get into the actual fitness industry, and it's in a lot of ways that there's some contradiction. I think in the exercise science world, they really focus on endurance athletes. They focused on hard sciences that was proven. But in the fitness industry, everyone was always trying to evolve and be at the cutting edge and trying to look at the newest studies and trying to make things so that it's maybe it was marketing too. And so it took a long time for me to try to marry the two influences. So what I was learning and what I had learned in the sciences, what I knew to be true, and what was happening in the real world in terms of experience. And in a lot of ways, it couldn't have been more opposite. But when entering into the industry, there was a lot of fight against carbohydrates at the time. There was a lot of fighting where it comes to how to assess risk. BMI became malaligned, and there was a lot of diss of cardio, and there's quite a few reasons. And these are the three things I actually really want to speak about today, because my ideas on these concepts have evolved over time. I wouldn't say they've changed. I think that the core concepts still remain true, but it's evolved in terms of how I talk about it and how I even consider it, right? And in the podcast, Jordan talks about how he's like doubling down on cardio these days, and I'll let you guys listen to that. But let's start with BMI. So BMI is body mass index. It's a measure of your weight relative to your height. And for a lot of people, it may seem a little bit off in terms of giving you the risk factor. You feel like you exercise a lot, and why is my BMI considered high? And if you're regularly exercising and you're visibly muscular, then it's going to be off. But if I took everybody in the whole country and I lined them all up and I put them aligned with their BMI, like let's say in order, the lower BMIs are on one end of the room and then a higher BMIs are on the other end, I would find that on average, I would find more health complications, more chronic diseases on the higher end of the BMI. That cannot be argued with. I can pull individual people out of this lineup and look at this person who has a low BMI and they have chronic health issues. I think this person with a high BMI don't have chronic health issues because of other factors. Because maybe their BMI is high for some reason, or it's low for another reason. Maybe they have no muscle at all, right? So of course, because of this, I guess, potential for error, people just totally wrote it off and said BMI is a waste. And I was at one point saying that, it's stupid, let's not even look at it. It comes from the 1800s, and a lot of this stuff is true, but in the end, when I look at the population, I look at the average person, 84% of people are not really exercising at any given time. So that BMI is going to be very accurate for them. So it might not feel good to look at the number and say, okay, it's high risk. Do what you can to get it down. Of course, I've talked about this in other videos before, but I now believe it holds a little bit more water than I used to, at least looking at the population as a whole. Then I got to look at the individuals and make adjustments from there. On to cardio. Cardio, we used to make this joke that, cardio was how you lose your gains, right? And a lot of people, when they first start out in exercise, cardio is the easiest thing to do. They just jump on a treadmill, watch TV, and leave the gym, right? And a lot of people in the fitness industry almost make fun of that because they feel like, why this person is wasting your time. And I think in the context of their goal, it might be true, but in the context of their health, they're doing a really good thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with walking. And you guys all hear me say it all the time, get the most amount of exercise possible, get the most amount of steps possible, right? So there's a benefit to doing cardio specifically low intensity cardio, because it's good for your health. The endurance makes your heart better and more efficient in what it does, and that allows you to live longer. That's why when you're healthier, your heart rate is slower. If you just do weightlifting, you don't do any cardio, then you're not going to get the benefit of the endurance aspect of things, and you're not going to get the mental health benefit and all the other benefits of energy that come with cardiovascular. And it doesn't have to be intense running marathons and stuff. It can be some lower level 1 or 2 zone 2 cardio, just to get your heart rate up to a point where it's challenging and it's helping your body to better function and better have better capacity for life. So my thoughts evolved on that as well. I think more and more people should be incorporating it in some way. And finally, carbs. For the longest time, I was studying, looking at, listening to authors and stuff who are probably more on the keto side of things. They're on a higher fat diet, and they had a little bit of bias towards low carb things. And I had bought into it for the most part, but I recognize, I think the point here, I think the point of distinction is that they're saying cut out all carbs. And I think there's some benefit from reducing the total carbohydrate load that you have. But if you're focusing on mostly whole foods in terms of produce, there's almost nothing wrong with having carbs. Your body needs it, right? Especially if you're going to start getting into intense exercise. We talked about G-Flux the other day. The more you exercise, the more energy you're going to need, the more carbs you're probably going to need. And in all cases, even if you're looking to lose body fat, at some point you're going to increase your carbs, because you can only go so high with everything else, right? So again, BMI, cardio, carbs, these are 3 things that my beliefs have evolved over time on.